Shawn Fain, who's the new leadership of the United Autos Union. That's the biggest one in the U.S. Biggest auto union, criticized Biden.
Right.
He's really gone for the jugular. In his statements, they've declined to endorse Biden for re-election. We see Trump out here vying for an endorsement, kind of seizing on this. But that's primarily because these EV plants and these other ventures don't pay nearly as much as traditional manufacturing plants, and they say workers should be paid a living wage and enough to support their families.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by energy and environment reporter Breanne Deppisch. Breanne, we've talked about insurers fleeing states before. Are they now fleeing Florida?
Yes, they are actually. In the run-up to Hurricane Idalia, which made landfall as a strong, really destructive Category 3 earlier this week, these include Farmers Insurance, AAA is reducing their footprint, and just a whole bevy of others. Some of them just a month or two before the start of the hurricane season. That's forced a lot of people to turn to so-called insurers of last resort. That is a sort of high-risk, very high or very low coverage.
So, like somebody
plan.
Signs up for like Jim's Insurance.
Exactly.
Loan me some money and I tell them they're covered.
Like Cricket Wireless, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad comparison. But sorry, Cricket Wireless. But anyways, so that's what happened, and people are really struggling. So the Insurers of Last Resort is actually now the #1 provider in Florida, and the situation is really expected to deteriorate further as weather conditions, hurricanes strengthen and continue to just batter the Gulf, but especially Florida.
I mean, Insurers of Last Resort kind of sounds like a saloon in some Western movie.
It does. It does. I like it. It's sort of catchy, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think the homeowners like it.
No, not very much. So the Biden administration obviously has all these clean energy initiatives, but they're now sort of recalibrating things to maybe do a pitch to labor unions, another very important constituency for Biden and the Democrats ahead of the 2024 elections. What's going on? What's the change here?
Yeah, so there were a series of overtures that the Biden administration announced ahead of Labor Day, sort of. The first was Treasury revealed, or it announced a new proposed rule that would allow companies that are doing clean energy projects to qualify for up to 5 times the amount of tax credits they would otherwise be eligible for, so long as they use the prevailing wage and apprenticeship programs. These are things under current labor laws that really try to ensure fair pay for people and ensure some sort of, minimum, like national minimum wage. And that's born out of complaints from people in the clean energy space or people in, other unions who say that these clean energy jobs just aren't paying what they should be. And then also the Department of Energy announced another pot of funding available to transition current ICE-powered vehicle manufacturing plants into sort of retrofit them to manufacture EVs, batteries, hybrid vehicles, and stuff like that. And they really hit hard on the fact that these locations would be in existing areas where like Detroit and everything, where big car makers and a lot of workers rely on those plants for their livelihood. And I think it's just part of an effort to really sell unions who have not exactly been thrilled by Biden's recent gestures.
Right, because some of the green energy initiatives are threatening to some of the older union-heavy job sectors.
Absolutely. And under Shawn Fain, who's the new leadership of the United Autos Union, that's the biggest one in the U.S., biggest auto union, criticized Biden. He's really gone for the jugular. In his statements, they've declined to endorse Biden for re-election. We see Trump out here vying for an endorsement, kind of seizing on this. But that's primarily because these EV plants and these other ventures don't pay nearly as much as traditional manufacturing plants, and they say workers should be paid a living wage and enough to support their families. And they also really criticized 2 new plants in right-to-work states, which were DOE loaned Ford and a South Korean battery plant a lot of money for plants in Kentucky and Tennessee.
Right, which are not terribly whether they're not union states,
They're
and they're
right
not
to
very
work
democratic
states.
states.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that especially rubbed them the wrong way. I think that was a pretty eviscerating response from Sean Payne. And we're seeing sort of this play out in unions across the country. They are sort of getting angry. They are threatening to strike, and the UAW, when their contract expires, might not renew it. They said they would strike unless their demands are met.
It's not easy being green.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Breanne.
Thank you.
You can read Breanne and subscribe to our Daily on Energy newsletter at washingtonexaminer.com.